Hello everyone and welcome to the creation page where we're going to talk about how life came from a hot and stony little earth. If you'll remember, the mountains have been creeping up out of the cracked surface of the earth. The inside of the earth is still molten and hot and wishes to explode out. Yet it's slowing down more and more, and it's exploding because the mountains are reaching up into very cold space. This extreme heat and extreme cold are causing violent relationships. Now, before I continue to talk about how life began on this very hot, stony little planet, I need to tell you a story. Not long ago, my wife and I paid a visit to one of her relatives in the hospital. This person was having an outpatient minor surgery, and my wife just wanted to pay him a visit and help them through their recovery. In the meantime, she told me to just wait in the waiting room, surgery waiting room, and she should be around in a couple hours. I went on to the waiting room, and when I stepped in, there was a television up in the corner playing the news, and a couple of men were sitting on a couch in front of the couch where I sat down. I was watching the news as they talked about plutonium. Plutonium, as you may know, is a poisonous metal, and very small, minute amount of it will kill hundreds of thousands of people and even make the area inhabitable wherever it has been found. Plutonium was the topic of this news story, and as the newsman continued to talk about it, these two young gentlemen sitting on the couch in front of me sat up forward and started talking about such a terrible thing going on. They said that they felt the devil had put plutonium on the earth in order to make people die and make people sick. Well, of course, I said nothing about this. They weren't talking to me. They didn't invite me into their conversation. But it just goes to show how little we understand God's gifts. Every one of God's gifts, even plutonium, is a wonderful element for creating life. And that's what happened on our little hot, stony earth. You see, back when it was coming down out of the equilateral plane of its mother sun, everything was under an exact pressure. But as the earth moved on out into ice-cold space, further and further from its mother, the stone began to solidify. Then pressures were changed, and plutonium became active. Not only plutonium, but uranium-12, uranium, and thorium. These are just a few of these red side, father side, very, very active metals. What were they doing? Well, they were, just imagine, I have in my hands here a bright red balloon. And that balloon is full of water. Now imagine having a dart, and you could throw that dart and puncture that balloon. What would it do? All that water would run out of it, right? Okay? The cells of the rock were eroded and died from the plutonium and thorium, and that caused the stone to erode. That eroded stone is what we call topsoil. It also released water out of the stone. This is where a majority of our water came from, is right out of the earth. The earth made its own water for the most part. Some water did come from meteorites and other sources, but for the most part, the water that's on the earth came right out of the earth. All planets and moons have its own storehouse of eternal water. Water was never created. It is an eternal element in the universe. Now, the earth had to die at a certain point to start giving off life. Your body did the same exact thing. You had to get to a certain age before you can start to give life to younger children. Death becomes life in order for life to live. In order for your body to live, you must eat food from the earth. That food coming from the earth causes the earth to discharge or die. Now you must return everything you have received from the earth, or give to be re-given, as we say, and you will charge the earth with what you give back to the earth. Therefore, you and the earth sustain each other. Cells, when they're very young and healthy, are very round, sort of like a basketball. Now, what happens to a basketball when you start to let the air out of it or you puncture it? It begins to flatten. And that is what happened to the earth. It is oblated slightly. The top and bottom of the earth are slightly flattened, and the North Pole is tilted to one side. If you look at the older planets out away from the sun, such as Mars and Saturn, you'll see where they are even flatter or less spherical than the Earth. That's because they are old Earths. Planets closer to the sun have no moons and are more spherical than Earth. As the Earth goes on out, way out past where human life no longer exists, it will start giving off more and more moons, and it will return to rings, which will eventually return to gas. Now, getting back to our Earth, as it released water, there is an eternal law called relationship. The water and the mineral of the aging mountains and soil surfaces began to work together along with the atmosphere, and this caused a new relationship, which caused cells to be in topsoil underneath the sea. Our sea took millions of years to build, but it always obeyed the law of each becomes the other. In other words, whatever relationship you get into, whether it's with another person or an organization, the life of you and the life of that organization interchange. You change each other as you work together. This is a reincarnating universe. There is no such thing as just a Big Bang only. It is a Big Bang and an imploding, an in and an out. They are mates. Just as you breathe in, you must breathe out. Just as your heart does the same thing as your lungs. This is quite a pleasure to bring this video to you, and I hope you have a wonderful and enjoyable week. Good day.